You are listening to the Maple Footy Podcast, the unofficial football podcast of the North. I'm your host, Sam Little. Find me on socials at SamLittle44 and the podcast at Maple Footy Pod. And now there's nothing left to say except for sit back, enjoy, and welcome to the show.
Hello, yes, welcome back to the Maple Footy Podcast. Right before we get into this, if you haven't yet, go check out my interview with Kato Lepauschuk, the youngster from Forge. It was a lot of fun to have that conversation. So yeah, if you haven't yet, I would highly recommend doing so. Biasly, of course, I think it was very good. But yeah, no, definitely, if you haven't yet, set aside the total time of that podcast is like 25 minutes, so go ahead, go and listen to it. But yeah, we're back in the Premier League action this week as Prem football has returned, so we'll be talking all about that, but first, of course, in Maple Footy fashion, we gotta talk about the Maple start. So just because it's only been 5 days since I recorded the Canadian recap, there's not a whole ton to talk about, but the few stories that have happened since that podcast. Promise David has been nominated for the Belgian Pro League Player of the Month, so that's massive, I think, and I'm pretty sure voting is open to fans, so definitely go and vote for him because he deserves it, because we love Promise David. And then on Wednesday night, the Whitecaps drew with Pumas 1-1 in the CONCACAF Champions Cup, so makes it interesting going into leg 2. Vancouver has been the best performing MLS Canadian team up to right now, so hopefully they can kind of keep that form going and maybe get a big win over a big Mexican side come the second leg. TFC have signed Maxime Dominguez on a season-long loan. I believe there was a buy option included as well, so I'll be honest, I don't know a whole ton about him, but I find it hard to believe that he is going to make the team worse than they already are. You know what I mean? So, yeah, TFC, of course, famously right now in a pretty down state. Yeah, not doing great. So hopefully Maxime Dominguez can kind of at least add some positives to the team. I mean, it's going to be a lot to ask of like one player to change the entire dynamic of Toronto FC just with how much of a mess I feel like they are at the moment. But yeah, Maxime Dominguez hopefully can help TFC kind of maybe get a win, just one. Moving on to international level, Bombito and Jonathan David, almost I promised David, Bombito and Jonathan David have made the team of the CONCACAF Nations League, so congratulations to them. Definitely well-deserved. Both of them were superb throughout, so yeah, I mean, it makes sense to have them in. I don't really have any more takes on that. Just, yeah, good for them. And speaking of our Canadian men's national team, they are now up to 30th in the world highest ever. So congratulations to Jesse Marsh, all the players that have helped contribute. And yeah, just really exciting, as we all know, for the men's national team at the moment. So definitely wants to watch over the next year leading up to the World Cup. And yeah, speaking of Canadian soccer, CPL starts this weekend. If you've missed that in my previous podcast, definitely give it a shot. If you aren't one to watch it, I would definitely suggest it. It's a lot of fun and some great quality in there as well. And we have to support these guys at our Canadian level. So I would say definitely check it out. TSN has announced more matches post-April that will be broadcast onto TSN. So if you, like I've been saying, if you're not wanting to make the One Soccer subscription to watch it, that is more than okay. Obviously, money is moneying right now. But yeah, definitely I would say give it a shot if you have TSN. I don't think you'll regret it. And yeah, that is not a sponsored reading or nothing at all. That is just me saying where you are available to watch these games, these Canadian matches. So yeah, definitely do so, and we'll be looking forward to it. So with that being said, let's get into the Prem recap. So by the time you are listening to this, they will have probably already started or even finished match day 31, because that is how quickly the turnover time is in the Premier League, making this podcast pretty out of date the moment it goes up when you really think about it. But yeah, so match week 30 was one that I didn't get to keep such a close eye on, just because busy with school work and interview podcast with Kato. But nonetheless, we shall persist. So if this is your first time listening to the Premier League recap, we go match of the weekend. Well, match of the match day, because these obviously didn't take place over the weekend. Match of the match day, biggest winners of the match day, biggest underperformers, best performance, a moment of the weekend, relegation zone, European places, title race. Got it? So yeah, let's start with match of the match day. And if you want a high scoring kind of one, I would highly suggest the Aston Villa versus Brighton. You even get a disallowed goal in there as well, so making things all the more interesting. Marcus Rashford scored, enjoying his little comeback season that he has had since joining Villa. This one really came alive in the second half. He scores in the 51st, disallowed goal for Mitoma in the 56th. Then the 78th, Morgan Rogers grabs his second assist of the game for Marco Asensio, who scores, who has also enjoyed quite the run with Aston Villa. I'll be interested to see if Aston Villa will end up buying all these loan guys on a permanent, because all of them have performed quite well and have proved to be rather crucial in this last since January. So I'll be very interested to see what Villa's plan is, honestly. And then in the 90 plus 10, so 100th minute, I did that in my head. In the 100th minute, Malin scores off of a Marco Asensio assist. So yeah, like I said, be very interested to see what the future holds for Aston Villa, just because Rashford, Disasi, Asensio, is Malin alone as well? So those three for sure, and I'm pretty sure Malin might be alone as well. Those are 3 to 4 guys that have been very crucial for them since January. I'll be very interested to see how many, if any, or if all of them will be staying in Villa, maybe extending a loan, maybe getting a permanent move. I'll be very, very intrigued, because all of them have looked very good under Unai Emery in this system. Another game that was rather back and forth was actually Newcastle-Brentford, I found. So you have Isak continuing his fine form, getting another goal this season. What's that? I feel like every time I mention Isak, I'm always checking how many goals he has gotten. Let us see. He's on 20 goals, 5 assists in the Prem this season. Yeah, that's not a bad haul at all. So yeah, it was a rather back and forth affair. Newcastle riding high off of their Carabao Cup win. Brentford still being that hard to beat team. I'm not looking forward to Chelsea playing them on Sunday, but yeah, still being that hard to beat team. Isak scores in the 47th, right before half. And Bomo scores a penalty, who has also, by the way, enjoyed quite the good season. Sandro Tonali gets a goal, the winning goal. He has enjoyed an up-and-down season post-suspension from the game. So, yeah, I mean, if you want like one of those back-and-forth, a little bit cagey affairs, this is probably the one to check out. Brentford and Newcastle both not wanting to lose, but both of them going out there and actually trying to win, which you don't see a lot of towards the end of the season, because everyone's just focused on let's not lose, guys. But both these teams want to win. Newcastle ends up being the happier of the two, because they walk away with the 3 points. Final one, just because who saw this coming? Bournemouth and Ipswich. Ipswich pulling off the shock upset, 2-1, and they were up 2-0 at a point. So that's a win in itself as well. Of course, for Ipswich, it does feel too little too late to really feel like they're going to get anything from this. Liam Delap gets another goal. Broadhead gets a goal. Evan Nielsen for Bournemouth chips in with nothing more than a consolation. Daniel Jebison did get on the day, though. He got a solid 3 minutes. But yeah, I mean, I don't have a whole ton to say about this one because I think in the context of at least Ipswich's season, it doesn't really mean a whole ton. And in the context of Bournemouth's season, though, this could mean a lot. But I will talk about Bournemouth a little bit later. Hint, hint, nudge, nudge. What we're gonna talk about with them. But yeah, so those are probably my three games of the match day. Nothing too crazy as to be expected with this time of season. All teams not really wanting to drop points, so just gives us a little bit less to talk about, really. Let's move into biggest winners of the match day, though. So I think you have to really, I'm just going to lump all three of these teams together here. The top three all getting a win. Nottingham Forest beating Manchester United with a goal courtesy of former Manchester United man Anthony Elanga. Arsenal planting the seeds of doubt potentially in Liverpool not capturing the crown. I really don't see it, but they've still won, and at this point in the season, that's really all that they can do to keep their hopes of winning the Premier League alive. It doesn't really feel like it doesn't really feel close at the moment, but I suppose we have seen slip-ups before, so we could see it again. But yeah, so really just kind of with that, they're kind of planting a seed for, hey, we're still here kind of thing. And then Liverpool, of course, getting a big win over Merseyside rivals Everton. No matter how good or bad either team is, they always show up for this game. It was another cagey affair, pretty chippy game, back and forth at times as well. But yeah, just Liverpool get the job done. The story of their season, really, I would say. If there was one way to sum up this Liverpool side, it's get the job done. And that's what they have been doing throughout their games, and that's what it looks like they want to continue doing in the Premier League. Other winners of the match day, I will put Chelsea up here solely because they get back into top four, but by no means is that top four race anywhere near being over. Chelsea, City, Newcastle, Villa, even Brighton, you could see all genuinely maybe challenging for that fourth spot. On commentary last night, though, they did say that one more either Champions League or European win for an England team this season, they get the fifth spot for Champions League. So that could be something to watch, because then it won't just be top four, it'll be top five that get Champions League in the Premier League. So we'll have to wait and see, of course. But we will put Chelsea there. And then finally, winner, Wolves, just because the teams below them all won, except for Leicester. So really just Ipswich, because we know that Southampton's dead and buried. But really just Ipswich here. But Southampton did get a shock win. Ipswich grabs a win, who are the closest to salvation in that bottom three, but Wolves still basically making that win, I don't want to say not matter, because all wins do matter, and if, say, Wolves do slip up and they do end up getting relegated and Ipswich go up, then this win did matter. But Wolves kind of making that win a level playing field, really. You got 3 points, we got 3 points, is my point here. Point. That's my point here, is that Wolves get 3, Ipswich get 3, keeping that distance of 9 points between the two. So Ipswich's win not as monumental as I feel like it could be. If they had won and Wolves had lost, then you're looking at a 6-point difference with still 8 games left to play. That's a little bit different as opposed to, 9 points, which doesn't feel done, but feels pretty well done. So let's move into the biggest underperformers of the weekend. Match day, apologies. Bournemouth. It's Bournemouth. Because, if we were looking at the table right now and going, Bournemouth are 10th, that's not bad. At the start of the season, that's true. That's not bad. But given the expectations that they've raised around them throughout this season, for them to now be stumbling at the finish line, it feels so costly and so out of character for everything that they've done this season. But these last few games, I've put them in the underperformers category because the wheels have kind of fell off at the end here. Now, they still have European chances. They could still theoretically get into Champions League, but you're probably thinking more realistically maybe a Europa League or Europa Conference League position at this moment in time. So I think it's just a shame because such a great season, it feels like it's coming to I don't want to say a mediocre end, because obviously there is still time to salvage this, but just at the moment, it just does feel like at the crucial time of the season when you really needed to turn it up, you kind of fumbled it a little bit. And now they could still turn this around. I'm not writing them off at all, but just these last couple games have really shown that it's like maybe they're not ready to be in those talks of European contenders just yet. Another underperformer is Crystal Palace, solely because you let Southampton get a point against you. I had said Southampton won earlier. They didn't. They drew. My apologies. But yes, Crystal Palace let Southampton get a draw and nearly a win. Yeah. I do feel for Southampton because they were pretty close to finally getting. Would that have been their second win of the season? I think it would have been. It would have been like their second win of the season, and so like that kind of sucks for their supporters, as I always feel like I'm saying I'm sorry to the supporters. But Crystal Palace is better than that. Let's be honest. I'm sorry, Palace fans. But yeah, your club needs to be winning that game. Not that really Crystal Palace are pushing for anything at this moment, so it's not like oh, that's gonna cost them a top 4 spot. Like, it's nothing like that. It's just for pride. I feel like you can't be drawing to Southampton. My final underwhelmer is Manchester United. Still all the same problems that we've discussed in depth over this season. None of them looking like they're going away. Amarin and once again, I'm not criticizing him as a manager, being like he doesn't know what he's doing. It just feels like he doesn't know what to do, if that makes sense, because I do think there's a quality manager there. I just really don't think he knows what the heck to do with this team, with these players, with this system. He looks lost. The players look lost. The club looks lost. The fans look lost. No one knows what to do. I've said it multiple times now throughout this season. You genuinely just need to, metaphorically speaking, blow this place up and start over, because it's so rotten, I think. Overpaid players that haven't done anything to warrant those contracts, a manager that really just I don't really think has much of a say in who they get, how they're going to play. I really don't. I could be wrong. That's probably more so me just kind of assuming things. But a stadium that's falling down, fans that are unhappy, backroom staff that are unhappy, constantly layoffs from the top brass as they continue to offer guys £500,000 contracts a week, but can't keep the cafeteria staff. It's stuff like that, and it's a shame, because Manchester United, as much as we don't like them, they are still a historic club, and to kind of just see them meandering for another season in and around like mid-table, yeah, it's a far cry from what they once were, and that is feeling like decades away. And in a sense, it really is, because it's been more than a decade now since they last won the Prem, and yeah, it's just a sad state of affairs, really. And I don't know what else to say that I haven't said already, but yeah, Manchester United, huh? At least they've always got my back for underperformers, until, of course, they play Chelsea, where they will probably inevitably beat us, as they always do. Best performances, we're going to go back to Aston Villa here, because we're going to go with Morgan Rogers, because my word, he's been one of my favorite players to watch this season. Genuinely, I've absolutely loved watching him. He's been phenomenal. Just so good. A different level, it feels, at some points, to the teammates around him. Just his technique on the ball, his different tricks that he has in his bag, his creativity. Oh man, he just reminds me of like that old school playmaker. Do you know what I mean? Of like, he's the one that you're kind of tuning in to watch. And that may just be me, but that's just how I feel. And 2 assists on the day. Yeah, he's just so good. He's just so good, Oh man, he genuinely just one of those players that you want to watch. You know what I mean? You just don't want to not. You don't want to miss him, because you don't want to miss potentially a highlight reel moment. And that's why I watch the game. I watch the game for guys that are going to make me feel like this is entertainment. And he is definitely, in my opinion, been one of the more entertaining players this season in the Prem. And he had another stellar game during this match day. So yeah, he definitely gets in there. Now moving into Liverpool, actually. A bit of a stranger shout, but Diogo Jota I know he gets the goal here, and that's kind of what he's done for Liverpool in his time. Kind of pops up with an important goal just when they need it. And so that's really why I'm putting him in here. When you're playing in a derby and you're playing against one of your biggest rivals in crunch time of the season, you need anybody and everybody to step up, and Diogo Jota is the guy that turns the ball in and gets Liverpool the win, really. A special shout out to Kelleher, who has been probably the best number 2 in the Premier League this season. He's really stepped in for Liverpool a lot when they've needed him. Alisson has had many spells out, currently out with a concussion. So, yeah, definitely putting him in there as well. Just because, kind of like Jota, when he's been called upon, he's been quite good. At right back, I will give another mention to Curtis Jones, just because not his position at all. And Liverpool don't have anybody to play right back at the moment. So just good for him for keeping a clean sheet, I suppose. And finally, on the Liverpool side, Gravenberch has enjoyed a great season as well, and this game was no different. Wanting to move over to Chelsea now, just because I did feel like there was some standouts for this game. Although I do think Maresca got a lot wrong on the day. I still don't know why Reece James didn't start. You start your captain if he's healthy in this game. Robert Sanchez still being in goal baffles me. He did make a good save at the end of the game. But yeah, and then just so many strange things. Parking the bus against Tottenham was very odd to me. I don't know. Maybe that's why I'm not a Premier League manager, because I just don't believe that you park the bus against Tottenham. That's my opinion. When you're Chelsea, that's me though. Moises Caicedo is superb as always. Like, seriously, been one of the players of the season. In my opinion, the best midfielder in the league this season. He's been worth it. He has been this season, because I haven't heard anybody bring up that transfer fee this season at all, because he has been amazing. He's been immense. Another player that I thought had a great game was Enzo Fernandez. I thought he was superb. Another guy that's enjoyed kind of a season under the radar, I would say. Hasn't really gotten a whole ton of applause, but he has been great. Cole Palmer got a goal contribution for the first time in 7 games. His first assist in 16, although that doesn't tell the whole story. He created damn near 40 chances since his last assist, and no one could turn them in. So yeah, we're definitely putting Cole Palmer in here just because I like Cole Palmer. Final 2 here, quickly with Ipswich. Liam Delap, I thought he had a very good game, caused problems for that very strong Bournemouth defense. Yeah, I think if Ipswich go down, I think City's got a buyback. I would be shocked if they don't trigger that buyback and then maybe sell him to someone else or keep him in and around and maybe give him some more chances. But yeah, I don't see him staying at Ipswich. If Ipswich are to go down, he feels quality. Of course, there's still a lot of work to be done, as he is only 21, 22. But yeah, at the moment, he feels like a very good player, and he's one of those just strong strikers that knows how to run the lines, knows how to cause problems up at the top. He can get his goal, get an assist, just make space. He's quality. He had a very good game against Bournemouth, and like I said, with such a strong Bournemouth defense, that's very good. And final one, Anthony Elanga. Just because scoring against your former club, that kind of dumped you to the curb. Yeah, I'm sure that has to feel good. Moment of the weekend. We will actually stay with Anthony Elanga because of what I just said. Scoring against your former club in a big match for your club, your current club. Yeah, that's massive. Nottingham Forest continuing their Champions League charge. If the Prem does get that 5th Champions League spot, I think it's a foregone conclusion that Nottingham Forest will be playing Champions League next season. It already feels like they've got one foot kind of in the door there, but I feel like if another spot is kind of cemented, I don't see them falling out the top 5. You could maybe see them falling out the top 4, finishing 5th, but I really don't see them finishing any lower than that. So, especially with performances like this, Manchester United, whilst not great, you still have to go out there and perform against them, and that's exactly what Nottingham Forest did. Wasn't the prettiest game, wasn't the most entertaining, wasn't the best, but they get the result, and at the end of the day, that's really what matters. I know I harp on about wanting to be entertained and whatnot, but really at the end of the day, it's who won. So yeah, Nottingham Forest, Anthony Elanga gets the moment of the match day. Another superb moment of the match day was when the referee accidentally took out Bergvall in the Tottenham Chelsea game, just because I thought that was rather funny. It was a proper good challenge from the referee. No, I'm just kidding. The referee just kind of was standing there, and Bergvall wasn't really looking. Neither of them were kind of looking at each other, and then accidentally trips Bergvall. So I just thought it was rather funny. But a real moment from that game was Enzo Fernandez grabbing that goal for Chelsea. Once again, a kind of like Forest, not the best game, not the prettiest game, but Chelsea needs this result. They need to win to get this top four. And that's what they do. They get the win. Wasn't the best, but in the end, when you're chasing top four and it is tight in those Champions League spots, you need to just find the way to win, and that's what they did. Great ball, great play, really all around. Palmer, great ball to Enzo Fernandez, dinks it in. Chelsea probably should have won 2-0 on the night. That Moises Caicedo goal, I don't think should have been disallowed, but that could just be me loving Caicedo and being a biased Chelsea fan, so who knows. But yeah, those are my moments of the match day. Moving into the relegation zone. Oh boy, we're already there. Wow. Actually, a quick other moment is just Ipswich getting a win. Just because, yeah, they haven't gotten many of those to celebrate this season. So we'll quickly mention that as a moment of the match day as we're about to talk about the relegation zone. Southampton do get a point in the relegation battle, but, I mean, they've been dead and buried really since match week 1. So, sorry to Southampton fans. Leicester lose to City, pretty predictably. And Ipswich do grab a win, but as I had said, Wolves kind of grab a win as well. So it kind of, like, a win keeps Ipswich, I guess, into it. Like, it's better than a loss. Because if they had lost, it would have been, what would that have been, 12 points? Yeah, a podcaster trying to do mental math. It would have been like 12 points, I believe, between Ipswich and Wolves. So definitely, at least it's a positive, but I don't think it's as big of a positive as if, say, Wolves had lost, because Wolves in 17th won as well. They have found a way to kind of turn it around at times this season, and I think that they have, as I've been saying all season, I think they have enough to avoid relegation, and I think they're gonna have enough to avoid relegation. Moving into the European places, we can list off half the table again, as we always do during the European places talk. Really from 10th to first is a European race. Well, not really first, but you get the gist. So you got Bournemouth in 10th, Fulham in 9th, Brighton in 8th, Villa 7th, Newcastle 6th, City 5th, Chelsea 4th, and Forest 3rd. Forest looking the safest of the bunch there, just because they're 5 points clear of Chelsea, who are in 4th. Everybody else is pretty close. Like from Chelsea to Villa is only 4 points, and then from Chelsea to Bournemouth is 8 points. This, to me, has been the most interesting factor of the season so far, and looks like it'll be the most interesting factor of the season coming to the end of it, just because it feels so unpredictable in those spots. Like, title race has felt pretty wrapped up for the last couple of weeks. Relegation has felt pretty decided since about January, really. So, really, top 4, top European race has really felt the most interesting. It'll be interesting to see who lands where, because you really could see any of these teams landing in the top 4, with some more realistic than others. Like, I'd say Villa's probably the cutoff for Champions League. I can't really see Brighton, Fulham, or Bournemouth challenging for Champions League, but I could very well see them challenging for Europa League. Villa, Newcastle feel like they have enough to maybe push for that. City and Chelsea, you would expect to push for that. So yeah, and each of them kind of had mixed results. Bournemouth, of course, losing. Fulham, they lost to Arsenal, of course. Brighton lost to Villa, who are just above them. And then Newcastle, they won I believe, yeah, they won. Sorry, too many games to keep track of. They won. City, of course, won. Chelsea, of course, won. Forest, of course, won. So, yeah, just a lot of win and loss in there. So, yeah, it'll be very interesting to see kind of how that plays out over the next few weeks of the season. I still think it's so up in the air, and it will be very exciting to see where all the chips kind of land. Into the title race, I mean, we're putting Arsenal in here really just because they're the closest to Liverpool. I still don't think there is much of a race at this point in this season. But hey, stranger things have happened. Liverpool could mess it up from here, I guess, and Arsenal could capitalize on that. I just haven't been super convinced by Arsenal these last few games. They have Saka back, though, which is good. But Liverpool, while they do have their injuries of their own, 12 points at this point in the season feels like a lot to blow through, but like I said, it can happen. I'm just trying to make this really more interesting than I feel like it is. Honestly, I just feel like, and I have felt like for a while, that they're the unofficial champs until they're the official champs, if that makes sense. Like, I don't know how many more points they need. I know there was a point where they only needed 21 more, and that was a few weeks ago. So I can't imagine it's more than like 15 now. So we'll see how it kind of ends for Liverpool and Arsenal. Arsenal, the only team that's really has a maybe a kind of sort of realistic shot of catching them. And Liverpool just, I don't know, they just feel like they just get it done in the Prem at least this season. So yeah, that's kind of my take on the title race, honestly. But yeah, that brings to an end this episode of the Maple Footy Podcast. Thank you for listening. Remember to check out the Kato Lapauschuk interview. I thought it was very fun and very good. So if you have not, definitely go check it out. I love getting to interview these players and hope to kind of keep doing that. So I hope that you also enjoy it, and please, yeah, definitely go check it out. It helps me in my case to wanting to interview these guys. So yeah, definitely do that. Follow me everywhere. You know the drill. Sam Little 44 Maple Footy Pod. And yeah, I hope match week 31 is interesting, and it gives me a lot to discuss. So yeah, definitely check out the CPL as well, which is starting this weekend. Very excited about that. And yeah, apart from that, thank you so much for listening, and until next time, cheers, everyone.
And that was your Maple Footy Podcast. Thank you so much for listening. Check my socials for any and all future updates. Remember to support Canadian football, be kind, and until next time, live, laugh, little.